jab, uppercut, leave you laid out on the floor. Try to duck and roll, hit and miss, now you counting stars. Should've practiced more, should've hit the mask, get out there more. Claim that you're the best. You gotta show me, son. Actions over words, baby boy. Is you real or what? Talking way too much, world come. Back sports, talking way too much, world come. Back sports, talking way too much, world come. Back sports.
What's good, everyone? Good morning. WCS back on deck with another one. Shout out to Big Blunts and Boxing on deck to kick off the week, man. Salute. Good morning, OG. How you feeling? What's good with you, brother? How you feeling, OG? Salute to your fight week for Bivol and Zerto. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. It is. Our topic of discussion today is Gonzalez versus Estrada 3. Booked for December 3rd, the Zone. It's those of you that pay attention to various weight divisions, man. This is a very intriguing saga that we're about to see play out. First of all, big shout out to the supporters, the WCS, and those of you that rock with the channel and continue to support. I appreciate you. So this is one of those areas where, when it comes to boxing, I like diving into when it's interesting, because it has a lot of climactic details to it that deals with the politics of boxing. The flyweight division, super flyweight division. People really don't pay attention down there. You know what I'm saying? They call it the basement of boxing. But really, truly, it's not that, man. It's just how much interest you choose to put into it. How much time are you willing to invest in checking out these light, fast, boxers that be down there. They have the opportunity to fight each other more on a regularity than most divisions in a heavier weight class. But today, Roman Gonzalez, man, aka Chocolatito, and Juan Francisco Estrada, very important, because December 3rd, man, they do the lock horns once again for a third time. The good part about this is that it has some very good storylines to it. It really does, man. I want you to keep in mind Jess Ban Rodriguez's name, all right? Carlos Kudras and Sur Rungfasad. Just keep those three. We're going to get back to them. We got to talk about how they all tie in to what's going down right now, all right? So, as I mentioned, man, Chocolatito, shout out to Chocolatito, man. One of my favorite fighters. Q the God in the building. What's good? Yeah, I feel you. I feel you, Q. I feel you. I'm saying the same thing. So let's talk about Chocolatito, man. This is one of the legends of the sports, believe it or not. For anybody who don't follow the lighter divisions, this dude is a bad man. Like, this is a 4-weight champion, and looking at his record, this man has 51 freaking victories, 3 defeats, 41 knockouts, and with those 3 losses, he only been stopped once. Okay? If you look at it, he has 54 professional bouts, man. You know what I'm saying? His KO percentage is still over 75%. Nicaragua hitter, he's been in there with the best in those light divisions. We're talking about coming all the way from middleweight up to super flyweight, shawty. This dude is the truth. Now, how does it tie in to what we're talking about with Juan Francisco Estrada? Well, in this equation, with Juan Francisco Estrada, there was controversy in their last fight. Him and Estrada locked up. back in March of 2021, it was some controversy behind that fight. A lot of people felt that, Chocolatito did enough to beat Estrada. Not to mention, these guys had fought previously before in 2012. You know what I'm saying? In the junior fly. And Gonzalez was able to get the victory. You know what I'm saying? So while they both continue to build and Gonzalez continued to add some more divisional championships to his resume, they would run into common opponents. You know what I'm saying? Roman Gonzalez would run into common opponents like the Carlos Kudras. You know what I'm saying? And the Sorung for size. You know what I'm saying? That's what makes this very, very interesting. Because peep this out. When Roman Gonzalez was stacking away, trying to build up his resume, stack away his credentials, he's fluctuating, switching stances and weights. You know what I'm saying? He's trying to find out where he want to just stabilize himself. At one time, he was damn near, he went from freaking junior fly, right? Roman Gonzalez went to junior fly and then took a fight at super fly. So you can count how many divisions that was. I don't know why he did it like that, but he went from like 107 up to 116. That's right below bantamweight, bro. You know what I'm saying? At the super fly. But anyway, he'll drop back down and he'll continue to, fight and wins. Pick up a championship with Akira Yagashi. And then he will continue to fight on. And that's where it gets very, very interesting for Chocolatito. He was undefeated when he's coming off that victory with Carlos Kudras. I told you to keep Carlos Kudras in your thoughts. Keep him in your thoughts now, because he's a part of this too. So Carlos Kudras, man, he happened to be a name that, I don't know, will go down in history on the worst side of things, right? Because we always hear how certain scenarios play out in boxing, which boxers are doing this, that, and the other. I got some creative scenarios for you, speaking about these two, right? So Roman Gonzalez, he comes up, he gets the opportunity, he defeats Carlos Kudras. We're talking about Carlos Kudras that's going to have the opportunity to do big things later on, but fails. He defeats Carlos Kudras, and he's really in the limelight, man. Like, people are really feeling Chocolatito. They really understand that this guy's the truth. He's official, multi-weight champion. He's heading in there against Sorung Fasai, right? Now, he beat Carlos Kudras, and that was for the Superfly Championship. That was a Superfly Championship bout, right? And he goes in there off Carlos Kudras to step in there with a highly talented veteran in Sorung Fasai. I mean, Sorung Fasai, man, at that point in time, man, these guys are fighting on such a regular schedule that they have some pretty good amount of fights to their resume. But undefeated, defeating that name Carlos Kudras, heading in there to fight Sorung Fasai as an undefeated fighter, considered a legend of the sport at this point. Like, people really high on him. He loses majority decision. He loses the majority decision to Sorung Fasai. And keep Sorung Fasai in your thoughts too, because between Roman Gonzalez and Juan Francisco Estrada, both of these guys fight Sorung Fasai, but the outcome will be different. Roman Gonzalez's first meeting with Rung Fasai, he loses the majority decision. He ends up taking his first loss. So what do? They do what we want to see a lot more of in boxing. They allow these two fighters to fight again. And did I tell you it was only 6 months later? 6 months later, bro. They fought March 2017, and then they came back and fought September 2017. 6 months later, they gave him the opportunity to go back in there and try to fight for his belt. Chocolatito gets knocked out, flatline, in the 4th round. The first time ever in his career. He gets flatlined by Ramphasai. This knockout was heard all around the boxing universe. If you look back in history and check out the pictures, it was some people that was probably in the audience crying, just like when Manny Pacquiao was flatlined by Juan Manuel Marquez, brother. It was crucial. Roman Gonzalez takes that L big time. And this is when people who was true Chocolatito fans, man, they thought his career may be like, oh, man, I don't know what's going on with this dude. You know what I'm saying? No one's really heard from him from that 4th round knockout. So from September 2017, he comes back a year later. He gets a win. You know what I'm saying? He gets a stoppage. Stoppage is cool when you're coming back, especially off a knockout. He stops Fuentes, Moise Fuentes, right? He has one fight in 2018. And then he comes back over damn near a year later in 2019. He fight Diocas, stops him in the 2nd round. Now, this is where it gets interesting for me. When I always want to do these reflections and compare shit in the middle of something, you know, it's all media content. It's all information. But the respectable, commendable part about what Chocolatito did was he came off that loss with Ramphasai. And he had 2 fights, one in 2018 and one in 2019. The one that was in 2019 was December 23rd. It was 2 days before Christmas. This man fought. Now, people still trying to see if he's that dude. He gets his 2nd stoppage, December 23rd, 2019. Chocolatito would turn around and fight in 2020, February 29th, 2020. Does it sound familiar? Does that, what you just heard me tell you, sound familiar about what we currently talking about? About people, you know, whining and complaining about fighters this, fighter that. This man turned around from December and fought in February. It's possible. Chocolatito did it. It's possible. He steps back in there and fight for a WBA World Superfly title against Khalid Yafai. And he stops that man. Now, this will be the 3rd straight stoppage. He stopped Fuentes in round 5, Diocas round 2, and he comes back in a short, quick turnaround from December 23rd, 2019 to February 29th, 2020. And he gets a 9th round stoppage, man. 3 stoppages in a row now. Come on now. So he goes on. He has one fight. His 2nd fight in 2020 against Israel Gonzalez. And he goes to a unanimous decision. Now, this is where it gets very, very interesting. Because after he defended his title, he steps in there against Juan Francisco Estrada, who was the current reigning WBC super flyweight champion. All right? Roman Gonzalez goes in there as the WBA super world fly champion. This is for a super flyweight unification bout. Did I mention to you before what happened when he fought him at Junior Fly? Roman Gonzalez heading into this fight with Francisco Estrada had bragging rights because they had fought back in 2012 at the Junior Flyweight division. So they're heading back in this fight with vested interest from the fans, you know what I'm saying, to the boxing in general, because they already been in the ring before. And, you know, truth be told, Francisco Estrada was on the pound for pound list, you know, hanging out for a long time. He was around 8th, 9th, 10th slot, depending on where you look. He was a big deal. Roman Gonzalez was still trying to build up, reestablish his value of Wall Street again. He was trying to build up the stocks. You know, when he got stopped by Ramphasai, people were still trying to see if he was still that guy. So for him to, you know, pick up a title in such a quick turnaround, jump back in there and defend it, and step in there with Estrada, have a very damn good fight, even though the scorecards was a bit controversial. Gonzalez would take his third defeat. But with this defeat, people was looking at it like, I'm not sure. Like, what? Some people believing that he defeated Estrada just as much as he did the first time they fought. But they gave it to Estrada. This is where the politics comes into play. Did they give it to Estrada because he clearly won, or did they give it to Estrada because the people may want to see this fight a third time? It happens in boxing. I want you to paperclip that. Bookmark it. Bookmark that shit, because we're going to come back to it. So he goes in there. Hold on for a second. Let me get to this chat right quick. Toby Bartlett, what's good? Big Blunts. Salute WCS in the chat. Ill Status, salute. He say, salute my brother WCS. Salute to your Ill Status boxing in the building. Bruce Gas Boxing Jazz and more. What's good? Salute my brother WCS. Salute to you, Bruce. How you feeling, OG? What's good with you? King Mitch on deck. Salute to you, Mitch. Come back. What up? What up? What's good? What's good? So let's get back to the super flyweight Gonzalez and Estrada 3, the reckoning. You know what I'm saying? The proving grounds. You know what I'm saying? Finale. Proves who's the top dog, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? This is not for undisputed, of course, but these two big names that's in the sport of boxing in the super flyweight division. You know what I'm saying? They've earned that shit. So let's go to Juan Francisco Estrada, 43 victories, 3 defeats, 28 knockouts. Now, this man has never been stopped. And some of the losses that he has happened early in his career. You know what I'm saying? Of course, one of those names being Roman Gonzalez. Now, like I said before, he had an early loss. The first one, I guess, was Juan Sanchez. And then, as he was continuing to fight up and build himself up to a title shot, he ran into Roman Gonzalez. And, in a championship bout for the WBA World Light Flyweight Championship, he lost. He couldn't get it done. So this is where it becomes interesting, because the common opponents is evident in these two fighters, Roman Gonzalez and Juan Estrada. You have Juan Estrada, who was building himself up, becoming a premier player, picking up his championships. He will have that, common opponent on his record too, and Carlos Cuadras. You know what I'm saying? Carlos Cuadras is a name that I told you to hold on to, because at the end of me explaining to you how this whole dynamic works out, Carlos Cuadras was supposed to be in the position to fight for the WBC championship. All right. So Juan Estrada continued to climb that ladder, put away some fights. You know what I'm saying? He had his run in with Carlos Cuadras, did well, picked up the victory. All right. But the common opponent that stands out the most between Roman Gonzalez and Juan Estrada is who? Sor Rungvisai. This guy right here, really, how they did him kind of upsets my stomach a little bit, but he had earned his position to be treated a little bit better than what he did. I'm talking about before he stepped in there with Jess Bam Rodriguez. Now, Juan Estrada in 2018 fought Sor Rungvisai in the WBC World Superfly Championship, and he lost the majority decision. After that, he would continue to fight on. Now, in a span of, we're talking about what? 4 years, possibly? He fought Carlos Cuadras in 2017. And I say in 2021, I'll say 3 years. He fought Rungvisai, picked up the victory. But before that, he had fought Carlos Cuadras, picked up the victory. Let me back up a little bit. Fought Carlos Cuadras, picked up the victory. Fought Rungvisai, took the L. Then he fought a couple of fights, and they allowed him to take the rematch. Okay? You're talking about February 2018 with Rungvisai, and then to fight him in April 2019 in the rematch. The first fight, Estrada lost to Rungvisai, but the rematch he won a unanimous decision. This is where it gets interesting. You know who Dwayne Beeman is. You know, he had a lot of hype. I still remember him on Facebook, man. I ain't gonna lie. I still remember when Dwayne Beeman was set to make this fight, and man, people was hyping him up, and I was rooting for the brother. I ain't gonna lie, I was rooting. For those of you that go back to when this happened, that follow these lighter divisions, Dwayne Beeman was talking so much, this, that, and the other, man. He ended up getting stopped in the 9th round. I was disappointed. I'm not gonna lie, I was very, very disappointed in him, man. But he disperses the Dwayne Beeman, right? And he moves on and fight Carlos Cuadras. Yeah, Carlos Cuadras, who was set to fight for the vacant WBC title. Now you're saying to yourself, what is this guy talking about? Okay, I'm getting there. I'm just trying to, bookmark these names for you on how politics work, outside of the welterweight division and everything else, right? So when you're talking about from Carlos Cuadras getting that win back in 2017, fighting Rungvisai in between that time, taking the L, fighting Rungvisai again, winning a unanimous decision, defending against Dwayne Beeman, then going back in there and fighting Carlos Cuadras again in 2020. Picks up another win. That's his second win against Carlos Cuadras. So that ain't no rivalry. That ain't no trilogy. But they gave Carlos Cuadras an opportunity to get that fight in 2020. So Francisco Estrada would go from October 2020 and return back in the ring in the first half of the semester of 21, which was last year, right? And that brings us to the fight with him and Roman Gonzalez. Roman Gonzalez already had a win over Francisco Estrada. He had bragging rights. He beat him pretty handedly when they fought at the junior flyweight. Now they coming back around, and people are very, very interested in this fight. It turns out to be a bit controversial because people felt that Gonzalez beat him again. This was for a super flyweight unification for the WBC World Super Flyweight Championship and the WBA Super World Superfly Championship. So it was a dang Super Flyweight Championship for unification, and Juan Estrada ended up getting the victory. Split decision. 12-round split decision. So a lot happened after this fight, y'all. A lot happened. This is where we brings in the names Carlos Cuadras, Sor Rungvisai, and Jess Ban Rodriguez. We bring them back into the frame, and we try to picture this so everybody can understand how difficult it is when it comes to the politics of boxing. After this fight, a whole lot of things didn't play out the way we felt. You know what I'm saying? So we was thinking that Juan Estrada, being a unified champion, he would face his mandatory in Sor Rungvisai. Sor Rungvisai ended up being this man's mandatory for the WBC. So I was like, this is going to be interesting. Very, very interesting. Because as I mentioned earlier, Rungvisai had his go at Juan Estrada. He had his opportunity to step in there twice. Rungvisai lost the first. Juan Estrada lost the first one, and then, he won a rematch against Rungvisai. So a lot of people was thinking like, it would be great if we see a trilogy against Rungvisai. That only makes sense, right? Estrada lost the first one back in 2018. And then he came back and avenged that shit, right? So let's see them fight again. Kind of, sort of just like we have with Roman Gonzalez. But what did they do? Those of you that was following me back then, I told you when the lightweight shit was going on with the franchise championship, I said, hey, check this out, man. Mauricio Suleiman is going to insert another franchise belt into a division, but it has to make sense. It has to like be a shocker. It has to have that shock in our value. You know what I'm saying? It's going to happen. He's going to insert another championship, that franchise championship belt into a division. And lo and behold, shawty, lo and behold, it appears like the Geechee. The franchise belt appears. They elevate Juan Frisco Estrada after his fight with Roman Gonzalez. They elevate this dude so he can duck Sor Rungvisai, a guy that he's already fought twice already. So he can duck this man. So they elevate this guy to the WBC franchise champion and vacates. He vacates the WBC chip. I was disappointed. I say, fuck that, man. These guys have such a history with the Carlos Kudras and Rungvisai. You know, Gonzalez and Estrada both fight Rungvisai. Obviously, Gonzalez had the worst end of the stick. And then, you know, Estrada having a 1-1. It was a rubber match. This is perfect. Well, not to the powers that be, people. The powers that be did not see it the way I was looking at it. So what they do, they screw Rungvisai out of fighting Estrada for a third time, which he could have really, you know what I'm saying, went in there and got that trilogy in. You know what I'm saying? Got some get back. It's not like people didn't want to see him fight Estrada. It's just, it was some other, you know, powers that be was saying like, no, the more interest is dedicated towards Roman Gonzalez, though. People want to see Chocolatito Estrada again. You know, they have a little history together. So let's mix it up, man. Let's give Estrada this fight over Gonzalez to make a trilogy. And lo and behold, they screw over Sor Rungvisai. So the WBC title becomes vacant. And check this out, people, how it all plays out. Rungvisai is supposed to go in there and fight Carlos Kudras for the motherfucking vacant WBC title. And it didn't happen. You know why? Because Sor Rungvisai comes down with COVID. I was like, ain't this a blimp? Why in that? What? So Rungvisai comes down with COVID. And now you have the super flyweight birth of the man himself, Bam Rodriguez. God damn it, what an appearance. You can't call for a better stage intro than Bam Rodriguez. Bam Rodriguez comes up and contends in the division for the first time and fights Carlos Kudras. Listen to me, people. If anybody can talk about having bragging rights, right? We're talking about a rise unlike any other. We're talking about a jetpack. That's what we're talking about, a jetpack. We're talking about a dude who gets a window of opportunity that you can never think about turning down, especially if you've been fighting at a lower division and you have the opportunity to come up and fight for a championship. You have the opportunity to come fight for a championship, brother. We're talking about what? 2 weight divisions? Are you serious? Bam Rodriguez comes in on stage. You know what I'm saying? He comes in on stage, man. He gets to fight Carlos Kudras for the WBC super flyweight vacant title. This dude comes up, goddamn jetpacks fuel, blast up on the scene, and people's like, we kind of know about, you know, Bam Rodriguez a little bit, yeah, you know, but damn, dude, little shawty coming up, couple of divisions, man. That shit crazy, man. Can he handle it? Can he? What's gonna happen with this? Bam, come in there, defeats Kudras in the unanimous decision. He becomes a WBC World Super Flyweight Champion. Now, a lot of us felt they wasn't close. Like he dropped Kudras early in the fight. It wasn't no close to decision for no controversy, no robbing a motherfucker, none of that shit. So he beats Kudras, man. Bam Rodriguez is new, this new profane star, man. Like people are going crazy over this guy. They say, we love you, Bam. It's almost like them saying Boots Ennis. Bam, Bam. Bam, Bam. We love you, Bam, Bam. And I was looking at this dude fight. I was like, dude slick with it. He cool with it, man. I like his style. So you asking yourself, okay, so Ron Fasad had COVID. When the fuck is he supposed to come back to work? You know what I'm saying? When is he coming back to work? So now, Ron Fasad comes back in, man, in June of 2022. This year. He comes back June of 2022. Very experienced guy. He was 50 victories at that time, 5 defeats, 1 loss. But the common opponent between Estrada and Gonzalez, he had beat Gonzalez twice, stopped him once. And then there was 1-1 with Estrada. So Ron Fasad's feeling himself to say, you know what? I'm getting back into the picture. This is my opportunity to get back into the picture. And stay with me on the politics, people, because you see it playing out right now. I already told you how the franchise belt was inserted and allowed Juan Estrada to vacate and elevate himself to the franchise belt. Now, when Ron Fasad comes back into the equation, he's not fighting Carlos Kudras. He's fighting Bam Rodriguez, a guy a couple of divisions lower. And like, what? I got this. What? Ron Fasad's like, I got this, shawty. I got it. Don't worry, I got this. You sure? There's a lot of hype coming on with this dude. You sure you got it, Ron Fasad? I got this. Ron Fasad goes in there against Bam Rodriguez and gets stopped. Not only do he gets dominated and gets stopped in the 8th round, people. He gets dominated and stopped in the 8th round. This is the worst. This is the worst measure of results that you want when boxing politics come into the equation. Like, this is one of those situations where they didn't rob this man on the scorecards. Ron Fasad was robbed by deception. Ron Fasad pretty much felt that this dude coming up and he wasn't acclimated to this superfly division. There's no way he gonna defeat him, bro. I'm good. Bam Rodriguez coming off a victory now too. He is the current reigning WBC champion. Ron Fasad already been there, done that. He said, man, I'm good. He goes in there and get motherfucking stopped, dog. It shakes up everything. Because I was looking forward to Ron Fasad going in there and potentially fighting Juan Estrada. But guess what? The franchise belt had already shut that shit down. So Estrada's not really thinking about anything. Estrada said, I don't have to deal with that no more. Because, he probably felt that he was going to be a tough opponent. So Bam Rodriguez wins the title. He has one more fight. And he announces to the world what, people? Bam Rodriguez said, you know what? After this fight, I'm moving back down. I'm moving to junior. I'm moving back down to fly. I'm moving down to flyweight. He's dropping from super fly down to flyweight and kind of picks up some championships then. Because you got to understand, he came up a couple, and then he's going to drop back down one and try to, contend there. A lot of people are going to say, Bam, he'll be just fine because he came up here, picked up a title, defended it, you know what I'm saying, and made a damn good name for himself, expanding his exposure to the boxing world. Cool. So Bam Rodriguez vacates. Now it becomes interesting again. You know what I'm saying? Now it becomes interesting again because Juan Estrada and Roman Gonzalez is fighting for the very same belt that Estrada vacated earlier, so that Sor Rungvisai wouldn't be his mandatory, because they wanted to set up a Gonzalez Estrada 3. So this WBC belt that Bam Rodriguez has vacated, it's the same one that he elevated himself for the franchise to vacate. So if you put it on the carousel, that shit has went around and made his rounds and dropped back off right where it was before. It made its rounds and came right back to where it was before. Right on the motherfucking doorstep in the super flyweight division. Now December 3rd, Juan Estrada and Roman Gonzalez is fighting for the vacant WBC title. And you ask yourself, why does politics has to play the hocus pocus in this particular situation? What was wrong with it? You know what I'm saying? Because Juan Estrada, well, you know, he did jump out of a fight because of whatever he had, an injury, something like that. But somehow, some way, somebody internal, the shakers and movers, the shot callers, man, they wanted to see an Estrada Gonzalez 3, not a Rungvisai Estrada 3. So Rungvisai not only got fucked out of having the next shot with Estrada, but he ended up getting fucked over by Bam Rodriguez and getting stopped. You can't tape. Listen, that is called abuse. Like, fuck boxing. When you see yourself right there and you have the opportunity of a lifetime to get yourself on top and the shit just fall apart, man, I bet Rungvisai still hasn't recovered from that. He probably asked his people like, what the fuck, man? What the fuck, man? I did what I had to do, man. What the fuck, man? How did they do me? How did it all fall apart, man? I'm asking myself, how did it all fall apart? Did he really have COVID? I don't know. I'm going to say he did have COVID. And to come back from COVID and not face the guy that you were supposed to in Kudros, and you face a guy moving up a couple of divisions, and you see what he did to Kudros. He went to a decision, though. So in the mind of Rungvisai, he's saying, I'm good. I faced Kudros before. I beat him twice. I'm good. He goes in there and gets stopped by this new fame, you know what I'm saying, star, so to speak, and Bam Rodriguez, man, that showed out on him. He just didn't beat Rungvisai. He stopped the dude. Then he defended the motherfucker. Not only did he defend it, he said, I'm dropping down and going back for which I came. I'm vacating. So now we have not Rungvisai fight for the vacant title again. We have the start of it all, Estrada and Gonzalez. It's almost like that whole process happened and it had no benefit to it whatsoever. Seriously, it really had no benefit to anything. It's just Juan Estrada and Roman Gonzalez. A lot of people got fucked over in this situation. Roman Gonzalez, he wasn't able to get the scorecards he was looking for when people thought he won the fight. You know what I'm saying? Chocolatito, he's in the good graces of some people, and they wanted to see him and Estrada for a trilogy. That was the entire plan. Juan Estrada went through his thing. You know, he did take a fight, but he didn't look good in that last fight. which makes it more interesting with him and Gonzalez stepping into the square December 3rd for a trilogy. Because both of these fighters are at a point where they may be close to their career expiration. Let me go to the chat right quick. Mr. Pass, I got a tough one for you. I've heard it debated before about who has the better resume out of Chocolatito and Donaire. If Chocolatito wins, do you think he will have a better resume or no? I will have to do my research on that. You know what I'm saying? Because Chocolatito, shout out to him. Shout out to Nonito Donaire. Shout out to him. I have to do my research and compare opposition. I just know coming up, you know, if you want to compare divisions from minimum all the way to super fly, you know, there's some switches up in there from Chocolatito. You gotta put the gauge on certain areas in their career and what they did that was considered special. Like when people go from 35 to 47, you know what I'm saying? They do something special in their career. I have to compare that on their resume, like taking chances like Bam Rodriguez did. I know there's a point in time where I looked at Roman Gonzalez and some of the shit he was able to do. And at one point in time, you know, like I told you, Roman Gonzalez moved up past the weight class. You know what I'm saying? When he fought Carlos Cujas. I mean, I'll have to do my research on that really and get back with you. Real talk. It's different for everybody, but I'll have to do my research before I just dive all the way into that shit. I would rather do it in the best way possible. Read up on it a little bit. But if anybody look at Roman Gonzalez and how many weight classes he had in his resume, you know, you got to take a little time and say, okay, what do I respect out of that? When it comes to me, resumes, it's not just the names on the resume. It's also, you have to look at what somebody was doing. You know, why did they fight this person? Did this person have was it a promise in this person? Like, was it for a title? Was it to set them up and a title eliminated to face somebody else? I don't know, man. You really have to tie it down. You know what I'm saying? How long was a fighter fighting in the division? Did he switch divisions during that time? Was he able to defend? If he picked up a championship, was he able to defend that championship? I don't give a damn if he was defending it, you know, 2, 3, 4 times, especially when these guys moving up. If he won a championship, did he defend it? And then what was next for him after he decided to move up the division? I'm just trying to find out, did he have some of those moments that were considered highlight moments, special highlight moments that goes down in memory? Gonzalez has a lot of that shit. But I'm speaking right now of the Superfly division, being that Nonito Donaire was contending at the bantamweight division. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of off topic right now, Mr. Pass, on what I'm talking about. But I definitely will do some research and juxtapose and try to give you your answer. You know what I'm saying? Because they're in 2 different divisions, and it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I know they have some history. They have some experience in these lighter divisions. They have frequented these waters before. But to look at the opponents and everything, now that's going to take me to do it correctly. That's going to take me a little bit of time to check out Nonito Donaire and what he has going on at this point in time, what Gonzalez has going on at this time, how both of them came up, you know, compare the divisions and this, that, and the other. Good question, though. Good question. Il Stater said, let's go Chocolatito. Let's go, bro. I'm going for Chocolatito, man. I just have to do my research on that. You know, they're in two different divisions, man. Regardless of their division below, Chocolatito has campaigned at the bantamweight division. And, you know, it's good he was finally able to pick up that WBC title against Nordine Bali. I remember when Nordine Bali fought Rashid Warren for the vacant. You feel me? I was there. I was there on deck for that. But right now we have these Juan Estrada and Roman Gonzalez facing each other for a trilogy. And it was just amazing turn of events on how it all played out, with Ron Fasad dropping out because of COVID and Bam making his debut, man. I'm talking about a debut like no other in recent. You know what I'm saying? You take away the you take the franchise belt. When I was up there saying how important and relevant it is with Teofimo Lopez, I was telling people they put it in there with Lomachenko for a reason. You know what I'm saying? Teofimo was the first franchise champion to earn that title via petition and transfer. Lomachenko was just elevated. So it became very interesting looking how Canelo didn't have no reason to petition for it except not to face a mandatory, when as the lightweight division, it had a bit more construction going on in what they was trying to do. So when they elevated Lomachenko, it was so to set up a fight with him and Teofimo Lopez. So Lopez being the first one to win it via new rule settings, new policies, because first when they came out, Mauricio Suleiman said what? It's non-transferable. The champion can indeed keep the title if they lose it. With all the question, you know what I'm saying? The barrage of questions that was coming Mauricio's way, he had to switch that up. And then I'm telling people, well, Teofimo is the undisputed lightweight world champion. They were saying, no, the franchise don't count. The franchise don't count. It don't have power. I said it has power because Mauricio Suleiman is allowing it to have power. He's showing the people how much it has power. So when they put it down there in the super flyweight division, I'm saying, bam, there you go. I told you it was only a matter of time before he inject that into another division, and he sure enough did. Bam, he hit it up, elevated down Juan Estrada, allow him to duck Sir Ron Fasai, which was the reason for a chain of events that spiraled downhill. The one that was ultimately fucked over in all of this, because style makes fights, is Sir Ron Fasai. He had fought both fighters twice before. He deserved the right to get that immediate. He deserved to get a look at Juan Estrada, but he didn't. So not only did he get the fight, you know, he wasn't given the opportunity to fight Kudras, but Kudras wasn't even available when he returned. You know what I'm saying? Not only was it that, he didn't have the opportunity to fight for the vacant WBC title, a title that he had before. Maybe his fight with Kudras would have been a bit more better. He could have picked up the WBC title himself and defended it against Bam Rodriguez. But due to circumstances, he was out. Bam came in, put his foot down, stomped that motherfucker, let go his hand, let his hands go. Goddamn, earned that championship belt. Had the people cheering him, applauding him. You know, I mean, overnight stardom that they came up on Bam Rodriguez because of what he was able to do moving up. First of all, balancing the scales in a heavier division, two divisions up, commendable. Salute you. And then for Ron Fasad to come back and face a young gun, and he probably said to himself, man, this dude, man, he ain't ready for this division. He ain't acclimated. You know, he went the distance with this guy. He ain't no threat. But something went down, bro. Something went down like you don't know. Just like Nonito Donaire, bro. He had his moment. You know what I'm saying? He had his moment. And just because you go in there and you have a fight this way, and somehow, you know, some trainers and teams, they make changes, and it goes downhill from there. Instead of you coming back in there saying, okay, I knew what I did wrong the first fight. Okay, let me take care of that, you know, this, that, and the other. Or they might have the mentality to say, oh, okay, I'm very, very experienced. This guy is not experienced than me. I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I fought the best in this division. I'm not worried about this guy. And it turns out to be total opposite. So Ramphasai got smashed. And then the crazy part, the Bam, he doesn't even want to stay around long enough to step up and fight Estrada. He doesn't even want to stay around to conquer and potentially face Roman Gonzalez or whoever he would have faced. He ain't trying to do it. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people see that as being a dangerous fight. If Rodriguez was to face Gonzalez. He's talking about experience, man. Gonzalez was still in there getting his hands. You know what I'm saying? He was getting his hands involved. He was having a conversation, you know what I'm saying, with Estrada. He was letting Estrada know that I'm still him. I'm good. But ultimately, man, that's what I like, you know, as far as upcoming fights. Basically a month away. We in November pretty much. The first half of December, man, we getting freaking Estrada Gonzalez 3. Who y'all think gonna win? I'm going for Chocolatito, no doubt about it. I hope he clears it up and leaves no loose ends, no frayed edges. You know what I'm saying? Just make it clear and concise. I ain't saying he can go in there and knock out Estrada. I'm just saying make it clear and concise. That's what it's about. It's no questions that they can rob you and put you in that position that they had you in the rematch. Just go in there and get it in. Shout out to BIG, bro, with the $2 super chat. He said, salute, brother. Appreciate you, BIG. Thanks for pulling up and dropping that super chat and supporting WCS, man. I mean, these guys, of course, when it comes to age, you got to look at it like this. Chocolatito, man, he's 35 years old only, right? But you have to look at the amount of fights that Chocolatito has been in. So in boxing years, it's somewhat like dog years. It's freaking internally, these fighters have miles on their body. Everybody's wheels wear out differently. You know what I'm saying? So we really don't know what's going on with Roman Gonzalez. I just know he looked pretty decent against Estrada. They even saying Estrada looked a little shaky in his last fight. I thought he did. But 35 years old, just like anything, it's according to how extensive your career was before you turned professional and what you did while you was professional. You feel me? So he's only 35 years old, man. It's not too bad. You know what I'm saying? It's not too bad, bro. 35 years old. And Juan Estrada is just a little bit younger, 32 years old. Either way it goes, man, they both have significant experience. Significant. And like I said, Estrada's been hanging out, man. He's been mongering on the damn pound for pound list, you know, periodically before they snatched him off and everything started to mix. Man, he was 8, 9, or 10, man, depending on where you look. He was just chilling. Rachel said Nonito willing to move up to fight Chocolatito. So let me get this straight, right? And once again, you have to be respectful to, you know, in some cases. right? Because I'm just gonna show you. I'm just gonna show you something right quick. I'm just gonna show you something right quick. Okay. Hold on for a second. Let me show you something. And y'all hit the like button while you're in here, please. Check this out, man. I'm about to share screen right quick because listen, this is what lives are for, man. You know, some people always want to make it seem like just because somebody. I told people that's why I don't, correct people all the time and all this other shit. But in this case, I'm just gonna show you something, just so you can understand moving forward. All right. So let me share screen right quick. I'm gonna share screen. So if you look right here, and let me take this comment down. Once again, shout out to BIG, man. Salute to you. One love, brother. This is the junior bantamweight, 115. And this is the bantamweight, 118 pounds. If you look over here, Nonito Donaire, who lost his title to who? Naoya Inoue. Nonito is the former WBC bantamweight champion. Caveat off what you said about Rachel saying Nonito is willing to move up to fight Chocolatito. Fight him where? Chocolatito is down here. So if you're talking about him moving down to fight Chocolatito, okay. But I'm just, sometimes I don't correct. I just let somebody in the chat do it. But since I'm wholeheartedly on, this was the topic of discussion today, he will be moving down to insert himself into the equation. And I don't see that happening anytime soon. You know what I'm saying? Donaire, though he had a run, we have to understand one thing. Boxing does have politics. Donaire knows that. Nonito Donaire knows that. Boxing has politics. Do they really need Donaire down there? Are people looking for Donaire? A fighter who's very, very experienced. Real talk. Shout out to the Filipino Flash. You know what I'm saying? He's going on 40 years old. He's traveled these roads. But what I want you to understand is when he won the championship, when he put himself in a position to step in there with the big dog, and he lost that unanimous decision. Let me show you something else. When Donaire, the older fighter, right? This is how it all works itself out, right? When he steps up to the high level competition with all that experience, and he loses your UD with Inoue, who is considered one of the power hitters, monster and all that, people was like, okay, Donaire still has it. He's an older fighter. He still has it, man. We can still hold him to future fights and put him in there with a solid name, and we expect him. So, they kind of gave Donaire that Sergey Deryanchenko freaking not RSVP, but they gave him the VIP service a little bit because Sergey Deryanchenko may have lost it for the IBF, but they allow him to go to the WBC and fight Charlo. just like we've seen this shit play out in some other circumstances in other divisions, where people can get an opportunity in one sanctioning body and then they'll move them over immediately to the next to get another shot. And that's exactly what happened with Nonito Donaire. Donaire, lost the decision. They moved him to the WBC. He looked good. He ended up handing Obali his first loss, defended his title, and he went back in there with Inoue, and he was stopped in the second round. My whole point is, does it make sense for him to insert himself into the equation of an Estrada or a Gonzalez? Does it make any sense? Like, he's coming off a brutal loss, stoppage to Inoue. How does he fit in with a Gonzalez? Is he going to be down there, for a long period of time? What are we talking about? And I know we have to take in consideration the amount of pounds in between super flyweight and bantamweight. It's not like when you move up, when you start getting into the nickels. You go from the 30s to 35s, the 40s, the 45. I mean, the 40s to 47, 47 to 50. It's not like that. So you have minimal weight in between where these guys who are used to, the diet and fighting these light weights, they can drop the weight. But when it comes to resume-wise, does Nonito Donaire, is it a reason why they would give him that attention to insert him in there with Gonzalez? Is it a reason that people, do they want to see that? I'm being respectful because I have nothing against Nonito Donaire, real talk. But is there a reason, though? Would people want to see him at his age go in there against Roman Gonzalez, bro? Are people calling for that fight? I'm going to tell you, I don't think they are. We can't just say, well, it's an opportunity. You coming off a loss. You have a name. You're much older and everything. It's people calling for Donaire to drop down to the super flyweight division and face the winner of Estrada Gonzalez. That's all I'm saying, brother. And so he would be moving down a weight class and not up a weight class. You feel me? That's all I'm saying, brother. Chocolatito is a man, man. You know what I'm saying? He's a man. I see him beating Estrada. You know what I'm saying? Did that answer your question there, ill or what? Because he won't be moving up. He will absolutely be moving down. Seriously. And I understand Rachel is she frequents YTC. It's good to have, Boxing Mind on here. Also, she's a role player on the team and handling her husband's business and stuff like that. But in conversation, I'm just going to speak for me. In conversation, I don't think it's relevant to the super flyweight division that Donaire comes down there and challenges Chocolatito for anything. He might get stopped just like Chocolatito did in his rematch with Ramphasad. Real talk. I'm not saying that Chocolatito is a Naoya Inoue, a monster. I'm not saying that, but he still looks fairly credible that he has something left in the tank. You know what I'm saying? And for Donaire, I know he would like that opportunity to fight for a championship again, but he's coming off a second round knockout loss, bro. Am I right or wrong? He's coming off a second round knockout loss, man. That's all I'm saying, man. That's all I'm saying when it comes to this. But for these two fighters, man, let's go over some things that was in the article that I read. I pretty much gave you the overlay on these two. I'm really pulling for Chocolatito to get the job done. But and the article said Estrada beat Cortez. Cortez is the last opponent that Estrada faced. Okay. Estrada beat Cortez by a narrow 12-round unanimous decision with the scores of 115, 112, 114, 113, and 115, 112. It says, given how poor one Francisco looked in that fight, you got to assume that the punishment the Chocolatito inflicted on him last year took what's left of the 32-year-old, leaving the badly deteriorated version that RG Cortez came close to beating. Now, they mentioned, did Bam Rodriguez duck Chocolatito? In a predictable move, just Bam Rodriguez, 17-0, 11 knockouts, chose to vacate his WBC 115-pound belt to move down to 112, rather than defend the belt against highly accomplished former 4-division world champion Chocolatito Gonzalez. Although the official reason for Bam Rodriguez to vacate his WBC belt was because he wants to move down to 112 to pick up some belts, many boxing fans aren't buying that excuse. Okay? They believe Bam saw the writing on the wall, recognizing that he's not good enough to beat Chocolatito or even compete with him. Those suspicions were confirmed by a lot of people when they witnessed Bam Rodriguez struggle against Israel Gonzalez, squeaking by him with a narrow 12-round decision. And this is what I'm saying. I don't often use the word duck because it is very cliche and many people choose to abuse it. But in this case for Bam Rodriguez, I would consider the duck a beneficial duck, if that means anything. What is a beneficial duck? The duck that he's able to visit a division lower than the division that he moved up to, lower than the division that he was reigning, defending champion, seeing what his performance was up there at that division. He came, he conquered, and he aborted the mission. He exited. So is it a duck? Yeah, I consider it a duck because, you know, he's dealing with some experienced fighters that riding the wave that he's riding and fighting at a heavy division, feeling some of the punching power. He's saying, no, I'll come back later when I get a little bit older. Because Bam Rodriguez is pretty damn young. So he's about to drop down to a division lower and pick up some hardware in the process of ducking Roman Gonzalez. Absolutely. But it's a beneficial duck because he gets to campaign at a fresh, brand new division, man, and further build up his star power amongst his fight fans. Salute to him, man. The platinum duck. The platinum duck. The APR is low. You know what I'm saying? The platinum duck, man. Shout out to him for making that very, very business, you know what I'm saying, very smart, astute decision in Bam Rodriguez. He said, no, Maz, man. I'm not going to fight Chocolatito. I know. Tough fight. I'm going back. I'm going down the division, man. You know, I skipped over it on my way up here, but I'm about to return back because these dudes are kind of giving me a little bit more than I'm asking for right now. So Bam is saying, hey, I want to remain clean. I did what I had to do. I defended my motherfucking title. I'm about to step back down the division where I'm most comfortable. But he's still ducked, though. He's still ducked. So we're gonna see how that plays out in the upcoming months in December. I can't wait for that fight. Just like I can't wait for the top rank card. I can't wait for that fight. That's gonna be a banger right there. I wonder, can Chocolatito do enough to potentially halt the bout early against Estrada? Can he stop him, man? I don't know, bro. You know what I'm saying? I seriously don't know. But that was a pretty decent article that they put in there about Estrada and Chocolatito. Real talk. Pretty good damn article. For Lomachenko, right? A lot of people are giving him flack and backlash for him trying to come up with another excuse and talking about Devin Haney a heavyweight. Well, I would say this. You know what I'm saying? The only way you can find out they're low tech is step in there with him. You know what I'm saying? You have established this this identity amongst the fans that every time your name come up, they feel like you have some type of immortal status, like you higher than everybody else, like your skill is superior to everybody else. Now you're at a point where you got to prove it more than you did ever, because the division is super hot right now. And being that you came off the Richard Comey and the Masayoshi Nakatanis, right? You go in there and go to distance with Jermaine Ortiz. You really never had the man hurt. You know, he was able to, give you that work, give you some solid work. It wasn't pockets in the fight where people think that the insurgency was too much for freaking Jermaine Ortiz. Now you come and Devin Haney step in there and you looking at him trying to say, you heavyweight? Well, just look at what he just weighed in for Kambosos. You got to understand, Lomachenko, you're coming off as this guy who said for Teofimo Lopez, you felt the judges was paid off. And then you came with the Pacquiao effect. Oh, my shoulder, my shoulder, my shoulder, my right shoulder hurt. My right shoulder hurt. It hurt. Yes, hurt. So what are you saying, Lomachenko? Did the shoulder hurt the entire fight of Teofimo Lopez? Yes, shoulder round 1 to round 12 hurt. Seriously hurt. I in pain, hurt. Man, Lomachenko up here making so many excuses. Now he want to give the impression that Devin Haney is a weight bully. He should move up to 140. I don't like what I'm hearing, brother. Real talk there, Lomachenko. It's certain times in their boxing career that you've got away with people giving you so much. I'm talking about over the top. His cuff run it over with compliments. People adore, idolize Lomachenko, goddammit. Now he gets in here. Is this heavyweight? He just fought Kambosos not too long ago, bro. The scales said what the scales said. He balanced them out at the required weight. And you want to come up here just because you're a little guy and you want to act like this man is weight bullying now. So you want to give the people the impression that what I want you to do is take to social media and protest that the dream moves up effectively immediately. He is obviously too heavy for 135 pounds. And for me, I definitely want 3, 4, 5 people to check the scales if we fight. Because right now, I think his weight is around 168.5 pounds, which is too heavy for me to fight him at 135. Lomachenko's coming up with excuses, bro. That's not a good look, brother. You coming up with all these excuses and everything, man. That's not a good look. But let's see how that goes, man. Let's see how that goes, because I don't respect that shit, bro. You know what I'm saying? Freaking Jermaine Ortiz was much bigger than you. A lot of people are gonna be much bigger than you, Lomachenko. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people are gonna be bigger than you because that's why you choose to just campaign at 35. Now, it's always gonna be a topic of discussion, especially from WCS, is you had the opportunity to stay WBC champion, and you know Devin Haney would have absolutely came across your damn radar. He was already there. He was blinking a little bit, but it wasn't a mandatory. It wasn't something that you had to attend to. So you always got to remember what happened in between that. You chose to pay attention to Teofimo Lopez, and that was the bigger fight, so to speak, and all that. You got what you wanted. Now you playing rebound. The rebound comes with excuses. You was fighting Teofimo Lopez's leftovers. You scoop that up, slurp that up, and all that. You know, you're like, okay, cool, finish that plate. You fight Jermaine Ortiz, cool, you got the win. But it's not a good look, man. Just go in there and say you want to fight the undisputed titleists that did something you wasn't able to do when you had the unified titles. You had every title except the IBF, and you choose to start to dance around and do the two-step. So we don't want to hear no excuses from you, Lomachenko. We just want to hear that you're willing and able to step in there. And just like Haney said, hey, I just want to let you know what I was able to do, what I had to sign on for to get these belts. I went over somebody else's backyard. I had to go through the drama of Pops not being able to enter the country. I had to do all this shit. So I'm letting you know, you're not even going to come close to what I'm looking for. I'm going to ask for what I'm asking. I hope to get it. But we ain't going to come up here and talk about no 50-50 nothing. Because pretty much when you was ahead of the game and Devin was way behind trying to play catch up, you was sitting up here getting royalty treatment. Now you're at a point where you're playing catch up for the first time in your career, big dog. Seriously, for the first time in your career, because you know I'm telling the truth. You came over here, they obliged you with a damn championship on the second fight. You failed to get it. You picked it up in your third. And ever since then, you've had pretty much an insightful run. I'm talking about you are the platinum member. Whatever Lomachenko wants, he gets pretty much. Now you're in a position where the same fighter that you probably didn't pay any mind to or give that respect to back in the day, he wasn't exciting and this, that, and the other. That time has changed. It's changed. So you have to accommodate him now. So I wonder how you're going to go about that, Lomachenko. Real talk. Stop making excuses to somebody at heavyweight. Man, nobody is trying to do that. Nobody ain't trying to hear that shit. I hope Haney go in there, get Lomachenko on his record, hand him his fourth loss, so you know he can move on to 140. Seriously, the reason why I don't want it to be a overextended or extended stay, so to speak, because when it comes down to weight, it's just not a good look when a fighter has to lose their titles on the scales. People frown upon that and say, why you just didn't move up to 140? But for Devin, he's proved everything he needed to at lightweight. He puts Lomachenko on his resume. Kudos, man. Salute. But don't stay down there for another fight just to prove that I can make the weight and it's for the money. I don't know. If he feels comfortable, like Haney said, he said, look what I did in the fight. I might have looked drained or whatever, but look how I looked in the fight. I'm good. So we'll see how that plays out. Shout out to Katie Taylor, man. You know what I'm saying? She went in there and defeated Karen Carvajal. She looked impressive doing it. Shout out to Katie Taylor. Much respect to you. Real talk. Much respect to you. Jojo Diaz, man, takes another hard loss, man. Like Jojo took some punishment in there against Cepeda. Real talk. Shout out to Jojo, man. I like Jojo. Jojo is unfazed with the big names. He go in there and take the big fights. But I don't want him to be a Danny Garcia at the welterweight division. You know what I'm saying? Like Danny Garcia at the welterweight division, he stepped in there with the big names, but he lost to a lot of them. It just seems like at 35, that's exactly the lane that Jojo Diaz is in. He's stepping in there with the big names, and he's losing. You know what I'm saying? Though he stepped in there, cool. But a lot of people ain't going to say, oh, so Payton ain't a big name. He's a big enough name. Devin Haney was a big enough name. And JoJo just moved up to 35. He's going to be here for a minute. So they have to slow him down right now and just give him about 2, man. You know what I'm saying? Give him 2 posturepedic, opponents, 2 pillows. You know what I'm saying? Let him go in there and get that work in. Nothing too strenuous. And then let's keep it moving. I mean, JoJo's proven that he's bowdy, bro. What's going on, Pop? How you feeling, bro? I don't know if y'all seen the Jake Paul situation with Anderson Silva, but he ended up getting a knockdown, of course, to separate him on the cards and get the decision. It's a bigger situation going on with him, because this is the guy who this is how I'm going to deliberate an argument, to the audience. I'm gonna present my argument with this. When the Paul brothers came on the scene, I call them the Goof Paul brothers, because I just felt like in boxing, they was just making a mockery of it, fighting basketball players and shit like that. Now, since they started to kind of clean it up with MMA fighters, I'm saying to myself, like, I can't ignore and come with ignorance as if on the lower tier level to become a professional fighter, it doesn't demand that you have any prerequisite at all. Like, you can get off the couch and get your license and become a boxer. With the Paul brothers, people know them so much for creating vines back in the day, YouTube content creators. They wasn't really respecting them because they looked a little funky. Like, the skill set need work. They definitely need to stay in the gym a lot longer, especially Logan Paul. And it just didn't seem like they had enough to be talking about some of the names that they was talking about. Everybody was just looking at them as YouTube creators. But for me right now, I'm looking at it like I did when I seen these fighters come off the couch and get their license approved. Now I'm looking at Jake Paul like that. Jake Paul has gotten off the couch, removed himself from the keyboard, spent enough time in the gym to the point where he's actually looking. He's giving the eye test as if he's a credible boxer. I thought there was a point in time that I'd never say that shit. But now Jake Paul is looking like he is a novice boxer. He's still a novice. Let's not get it twisted. He's going to continue to stay a novice, in my opinion, until he faces a boxer. He's facing older, antiquated combat specialists, fighters in the mixed martial arts arena who have been able to reach a certain level, either as champions and so forth, in the arena of mixed martial arts, but he is not fighting them while they're in their prime. Anderson Silva would have fucked him up when he was in his prime. Tyrone Woodley would have fucked him up when he was in his prime. Even Ben Askren would have fucked Jake Paul up in their prime. But since we stand on record, let's stand on code like my boy Dion say, I'm going to stay on code with the license deal. You are able to get a license without any prior demands or prerequisites to get you on board, to get approved. That is what we're looking at. But the only thing that separates Jake Paul from a lot of them dudes that's on the lower tier is that he has money and he signed to Showtime, brother. This man is signed to Showtime. They got money behind him. And they're rocking out with MVP, Most Valued Promotions. He can continue to go out here and build some fan base with the Anderson Silva win. He has a legend on his record. And look, as a content creator, it's big for him to have that dude on this record. Like, Anderson Silva is a motherfucking legend, bro. Tyron Woodley, a legend. Ben Askren, a legend. And they're all right. Seriously. It don't matter about the losses. The mixed martial arts community identify their fighters differently than boxing. Anderson Silva is a legend who was able to lose to Jake Paul without total humiliation. Did it prove anything to me? No, it just proves that Anderson Silva was there to move around and go some rounds with Jake Paul and then take a freaking knockdown in the 9th round. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it, bro. Stop it, man. Stop it, man. They had to come up with a different finisher. I'm not buying this shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm not buying it, bro. Anderson Silva was having an easy go with Jake Paul in there. He's in tremendous shape. His sons are competing in combat. Man, he is one of those elite fighters who take the sport serious. You're talking about a man who recovered from, I'm talking about snapping his shin in half. I thought the shit was over. Not only that, when it came back and said he popped dirty and people was on his ass like, he fought to have that shit overturned because it wasn't true. And he ended up winning. He was winning when everybody was down, just tarnishing his name and saying he was a dirty fighter. And he was this, that, and the other. He stayed the course and went and got that shit overturned. I forgot what the language was, but he got his shit overturned. He's like, no, that's not me. And anybody who know Anderson Silva know he has that, that soft voice. No, when you look at it, it was wrong, and I had to do what I had to do, go to court, get my attorneys and all. So he got his attorneys together and he cleared that shit up. But with Jake Paul, brother, he's still a novice. And I don't buy into that 9th round knockdown or whatever it is. Man, he could have went all the way out, no knockdown, no nothing. But the fight was close. And really, the fight could have been over. Anderson could have turned up on his ass. He has too much of a combat sports IQ to be in there allowing Jake Paul to believe that he's him. He would go and say, hey, man, look, they're going to continue to come up with scripts and scenarios and selective, I'm talking about careful selections for fighters to step in there with Jake Paul. They're going to continue to do that, bro. They're going to continue to make sure they pick the right people to split the roast with Jake Paul. I'm telling you what they're trying to do, people, right in front of your eyes, man. Do you see what they're trying to do? Did you see who he called out? He is 6-0 right now, 4 knockouts. They're trying their best to continue to build this guy's record to get a fight with a Canelo Alvarez and revisit the Floyd Mayweather Conor McGregor. I'm telling you, bro. Jake Paul wants to set this up for a $100 million fight, possibly. Canelo is still young enough for that shit to happen. Jake Paul is trying to continue to build up his resume, get the right actors in place, build up, you got to come off the old dudes. You got to get off the old dudes, bro. Ben Askren's too old. Tyron Woodley older than you. Man, you got to get off the old dudes, bro. You got to leave them alone, man. You just came in here and fought Anderson Silva, who's older than any other opponent you had. When are you going to get down and revisit the Rothman? Like, come on. I seen Rothman Jr. young. I don't know if he really wanted to get in there with you. Not so much to a duck, but I don't think he felt that fight was gonna go all the way. I don't know if you wanted to go in there because it would have been bad for freaking Jake Paul. So I really don't know if that was just something serious enough, and for it to drop out the way it did, it just didn't make any sense. He's a young dude. Now you want to talk about weight and put rehydration clauses in there, bro. He's trying to build up a fight with Canelo Alvarez. Real talk, y'all. Stay close to that. Stay close to that. Stay close to it. Yesterday I was on record, right? Of asking the people. Let me see. Let me get to the chat right quick. People gonna say, yeah, that Silva knockdown was fluff. He squared his feet. The punch from Jake looks so soft. But hey, what do I know for real? What do we know? Anderson could have went the distance with that dude easy. He could have went the distance with that guy easy. I see Jake fight Nate Diaz next, no lie. He may fight Nate Diaz next. And like I was telling anybody, Nate Diaz has one of the best, he's had over a run in his career, some of the best hands in boxing. Seriously. I've seen him break down guys, man, with those slapping punches. Dude can box. Jake Paul is not on the level of boxing as a Nate Diaz, nor does he have the cardio of a Nate Diaz. I'm just curious to know if he's willing to take that risk with Nate. Is he willing to take that risk? Because Diaz has his own switch that he and he alone operates. Or his brother Nick. They on their own switch. If they want to fuck you up, they want to fuck you up. It's too many highlight reels out there where him and his team is all about the motherfucking smoke. That shit right there, they would need security, bro. Like anything. Listen, hear me out, people. I pay attention to shit like this. When I told y'all about the Tyrone Woodley situation, where Jalen Love and Tyrone Woodley was talking shit, and the cameras was there, and I told people when that fight was going down, right? I told them that when Jake Paul finished with Askren, Tyrone Woodley was going to be next in line. I told you all that there was a reason why the cameras was there and they was trying to build up some conflict back and forth. I say, damn, Tyrone Woodley's going to be next. Why? Because it's an easy opponent, because Ben Askren is really good friends with Tyron. What happened? Tyron was next. He went the distance. Easy. And then the second one, he needed the money. The numbers was right. They told him, hey, you got to make it believable, Tyron. You got to make it believable. We need for you to go out shield. Shield first, Tyron. We need you to go out face first, face down on your shield to make it believable. When I twitch my wrist 3 times. Uno, dos, tres, smash. That's pretty much what it was. I told people this shit was going to happen. Now, what happened this past weekend? You saw Team Diaz going at it with Team Paul. And all the back and forth, this, that, and the other, to build up the fight. That's all. That's all it is, man. The Diaz team, they all about the smoke, bro. They all about the motherfucking smoke. But to build up a fight with Jake Paul and all that, yeah, they have to do some World Wrestling Entertainment. They have to make it seem like it's real beef. You got to understand how smart the Paul brothers are. They were some of the top content creators during the Vine days that was on YouTube. They have the resources. They have the experience. They have the mindset and the know-how to go up here and create scenes. That's what they did at the Vines. They create scenes for the fans. So in order to create some type of damn attention gainer in this combat sports, you gotta make it seem like it's real beef. And that's what happened with Tyrone Woodley and Jalen Love. And that's what happened with the Diaz brothers at the Paul, the Diaz team and the Paul team this past weekend. It looked like they was goddamn about to throw down, and it's about to be a melee, and shit's about to go left really, really bad. So if he fights him, that cool. I'm just wondering how they're gonna make the script rather. I wonder how the script is gonna be written. Cause Diaz's, man, they have their own buttons, man, that they themselves operate. Nobody else push their buttons, man. They've been there, done that. They've been in the biggest fights. They've been in the bloodiest fights. How is Jake Paul them? How's he gonna get Diaz to comply, man? He's gonna have to come out the pocket with some millions for real. If anybody and everybody follow combat sports, let me know how many times Diaz has been stopped. How many times has Diaz been knocked out cold? Let me know that. Please. You know, let your fingers do the walking. And the information do the talking. Let me know how many times Diaz has been stopped. Point blank. And the highest he ever fought in the UFC was 170 pounds. He fought Conor McGregor twice. All right? Yeah, Nate is known for a great stand-up game. For sure, for sure. Every time I see Nate at an event, he's slapping somebody. He slapped somebody at Jake Silver fight. Jake is that dude, man. And he's not small as people think. Real talk. That dude is not small as people think, and he's not as short as people think. I say, is it me? Is it my eyesight? Like when I ran into him at the MGM and got the picture, I was like, damn, this dude's taller than me. And he's not that small at all. Like he looked skinny when he was in the cage, comparable to other fighters that may be in the gym, but he's not a gym dude like that. Nate and Nick, especially Nate been fighting grown ass men since he was a teenager. I think Nate was fighting some of them fights with no gloves, but you know what I'm saying? Like he was fighting grown ass men as a teenager, dog, when he still had highlights in his hair. Dude, it's the truth, bro. The second one looked like when Michael B. Jordan got knocked out on purpose for the Creed movie. I didn't believe that KO for a second. Jake looked at Tyron like he couldn't believe it. Hey, I try to tell people that on here, and man, they was going in on IG. Why would you say that, man? It was real. It was authentic, man. You're just black. You're just trying to hate. You're just trying to hate. That's what I say, man, bro. I know Tyron. I've followed the people that he's been in the ring, the cage with, and they hit harder than Jake Paul. And Tyron had his hands down. That's not what he does. Tyron, even in the cage, he's not known for getting his ass knocked cold smack out. We're talking about his days with Nate Marquardt. That took an accumulation of punches to knock that man out. Tell me who did that to him while he was then reigning defending champion. Did Kamaru Usman did it? He didn't do it to Tyron, but he sure enough did it to Jorge Masvidal. Did Stephen Wonderboy Thompson did it? Nope. Did the BJJ world champion Damian Maia do it? Nope. Do you want me to go on? Who did that? Did Darren Till do it? A big ass fucking Darren Till looked like a fucking light heavyweight in there. Did he do it? Nope, but he sure enough felt those elbows from the bottom position that Tyron was goddamn landing on his head. Who did it to him, bro? And how can y'all not see that in these fights, like Jake Paul wants you to believe that he's the real deal when it comes to the boxing license and BoxRec, but he wants you to just put it in the environment as a Vine creator on YouTube when it comes to his fights. He wants to give you like it's real, but it's some other funky shit going on in between. It's some creative, you know what I'm saying? Creative thinking going on here. They're coming up with scripts to make this shit look, because they're trying to build up $100 million fight. They're trying to emulate the master fucking plan with Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor. They are trying. They want this man to stay undefeated so him and Canelo Alvarez can fight one day. Now, I can't assure you that it's going to be for real, that's going to go on BoxRec, or it may indeed just be an exhibition bout. If I had anything to do with it, and say, I would assume that Jake Paul want to fight Canelo Alvarez in an exhibition. Why? Because he still has the opportunity to gain revenue after he loses to Canelo Alvarez. It ain't no fucking way he winning. There's no fucking way. Jake Paul you're gonna have to come out the pocket $500 million for Canelo to take an L against you. So I see him taking his first loss if he gets the Canelo fight. But like I said before, it'll be a loss that people have witnessed, just like Logan Paul and Floyd, but it won't go on his record. I take that back, what I said earlier. It'll be an exhibition fight, and that loss ain't gonna go on his record. Real talk. He'll still be able to earn revenue because he'll still be undefeated. He'll go back to fighting some freaking ragu, you goddamn marshmallow next to the damn fire type shit, some goddamn yogurt soft opponents. I'm talking about Jello pudding soft. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about broth soft. I'm talking about some motherfucking cranberry sauce soft. I'm talking about applesauce soft opponents. I'm talking about mayo soft, ketchup soft. I don't know what happened to it. You know, Nate Diaz only had one more fight remaining in the UFC. He fought that fight. You know what I'm saying? So he's not trying to get locked back in with the UFC for whatever reason, because he's trying to make that money over here. That's why it took him so long. He was going back and forth with Dana White. He said, okay, finally, we get a fight. And he wanted to get up out of that contract, bro. He want to make some real money. That's all that is. He wanted to make some real money on the backside of his career, and he wasn't going to be able to do it with Dana White. So when he went in there and fought Tony Ferguson, people thought for sure that he would do well against Tony Ferguson, being that they both have somewhat middle grounds on the ground game, right? We're talking about we're talking about basically we can even the ground game perspective as far as the level of competition in mixed martial arts. They both have solid, respectable ground games. But what people didn't understand, what I did pick out, and people are not going to believe me, is that when you see things play out right, like free promo, you see certain names attached to something. Like, for instance, Tommy Fury. I told you all Tommy Fury was attached to freaking Jake Paul. They just used the Tommy Fury to build up interest, excitement. You know what I'm saying? Over and over again. That's somewhat what happened with this fight with Tony Ferguson and Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz last fight was with the UFC, and they brought in Khamzat Chimaev. Khamzat, in a lot of people's opinion, would have destroyed Nate Diaz. But when they mentioned the name, it brought so much attention to the fight, all the way up to the point where he missed weight. He not only missed weight by half a pound, he missed weight by several pounds. So what happened was they switched out Khamzat Chimaev, and then they brought in Tony Ferguson, a fighter who is, Jesus Christ. Tony Ferguson is one of the vets of the game, man. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people call him a legend of the game, even though he's taken some bad losses in his career. But they threw Tony Ferguson in there, and now, the excitement from Khamzat Chimaev being a part of the equation to fight Diaz, which they thought that motherfucker would be destruction. Destruction. And They thought that shit would be nuclear. They thought, goddamn it, Nate Diaz's career would never be again if he fought Hamzat. He gets phased out, and they put him in there with Kevin Holland, and then they bring in Tony Ferguson. Now it levels the playing field a little bit for Nate Diaz to go in there and do what he did. He subbed him out in the guillotine choke, man. I mean, that wound up being very nice for his last fight, his last hoorah in the UFC. Because if it would have been Hamzat Chimaev, that would have been lethal, bro. That would have been lethal. But shout out to him, man. He got a win. He'll never fight in the UFC again. Nate Diaz. He'll never fight in the UFC again. Nate Diaz, man, people don't stop him like that. I don't expect him to go in here and get stopped by Jake Paul. So if he's not going to get stopped by Jake Paul, I have to look at how many rounds it's going to be. And, you know, if they bringing them on to pick up another win, how are they going to make that happen with the Diaz brothers? Them, like I said, them guys are wired different. They don't comply to the motherfucking orders like that. They don't. They have a reputation, bro. Jake can't do shit with Canelo's defense, let alone his power. I know, but when it comes down to Canelo being a corporate dude, he may somewhat placate the idea for him to go and move around with Jake Paul and make it look interesting. You know, that's Canelo Alvarez. He's been to sparring before. He's smart. If they did fight back in 2019, man, I don't remember it. Who won that fight anyway? Who won that fight? Who won between him and Jorge? You know what? I think Jorge hurt him with a head kick, if I'm not mistaken. There might have been a fight where Jorge hurt him with a head kick and the referee stopped the fight. Is it a TKO stoppage? I think that might have been a TKO stoppage, bro. But on the back end of this, I appreciate everybody tuned in as always. I don't know if I'm interpreting the fight record. Okay, let me see something right quick. Jorge Masvidal, back in 2019. Oh, yeah, he kicked him in the head. Yeah, I was right. So, okay, I forgot the fight, of course, but it came to me because that's the closest that he's came to being stopped. So the doctor stopped the fight due to a cut from Jorge landing a right kick to the head of Nate Diaz. It was a brutal head kick, and it still didn't knock out Nate Diaz, but it cut him something bad. And the referee ended up stopping the fight in the third round. Yeah. Look at that fight. It was a right kick to the head. I forgot all about that fight, man. Damn, that's crazy. But hey, y'all stay on task, man. I'm gonna be back on a little later, of course. Appreciate y'all pulling up to the WCS Boulevard, man, once again for a live stream. Shout out to the super flyweights, man. Look forward to that fight in December. We got fights popping off this week. And you know, shout out to the guys who got it in this past weekend. Got those victories, of course. A heavy fight card going down in December. But before that, you know, we still got the anticipation that's going down this month on what we're gonna find out about, you know, the Crawford and Spence situation. What I mean by that, will anything come out about them fighting in 23? Will BLK Prime be able to hold strong on their fight card coming up in December? Will they be able to pull it off? If so, who's going to be on the fight card? The announcement that Errol Spence said that was coming out, we want to know if he's going to be fighting Stanthionis or freaking Keith Thurman. Either way it goes, it's not Crawford. You know? But y'all hold it down. Turn up and tune in to World Combat Sports, man. Salute to everyone. Hit the like button out the door, man, and make sure you sub to the channel. I'm out.